Serious, dark web users of Reddit, was there ever a point in your use that you felt you were genuinely in danger? What happened? As long as you're just looking, you're safe. Anonymity is the entire point of the setup. If you interact with someone, just assume they're hostile and act accordingly. And remember, double your Bitcoin is a lie. Wait, are you talking about the dark web or Twitter? I've never personally felt I was in actual danger, so to speak, since I take proper precautions. But early on I did accidentally come across a site forum while exploring that was filled with snuff photos of women people had assaulted and then knocked out or killed. Shut down my browser pretty quick after that, but felt uneasy for a long time after. Don't frequent it a lot, but once I accidentally left my browser in full screen and a stranger in a chat room asked me if my curved monitor was nice. Freaked me out a bit. Not dark web, but I wanted to install Windows 7 on my old PC, so I installed the ISO file from some website and everything was working good for like 1 hour, but then porn started appearing on my screen and I was like, WTFFF. Chat box opened and camera turned on. He told me I have nice eyes, and after that I just turned off the PC and did a clean install of Windows 10. Webcam turned itself on once. That was scary. I immediately unplugged it and my network cable. Ran 3 complete scans of my system for malware and viruses. Found nothing. Hasn't happened since. This happened to one of my friends. He said the camera turned on and he was redirected to another website where he saw his own face and some kind of official seal with an eagle on the side. He didn't read what any of that said because he shut down his PC as fast as he could. He was really quiet and anxious for the next days I saw him at school. The first day he looked very scared and even looked pale. This was what prompted me to ask what happened. The idea that the dark web is an extremely shocking and dangerous place is largely inaccurate. It's mostly weird libertarian blogs and very sterile Amazon type websites for drugs, complete with reviews of different vendors. I remember my friend showing me where he bought his drugs online and seeing how well kept and formal it was. Like you said, it really was just an Amazon type website for drugs with friendly and thorough reviews. Even saw in red at the top something along the lines of, website name, moderators will never ask for your password. I was pleasantly surprised to say the least, haha. Not the modern dark web, but back in the days of Usenet I posted some harsh criticism in alt, religion, Sebtology. The online threats were funny, but when I started getting death threats by mail I backed the FCK off. Wait. I can actually get Scientology to come after me? Because seriously. FCK those cunts. After what they did to my friend. The easiest thing they deserve is prison. A bunch of kidnappers, thieves, and rapists. The scariest moment for me was when I stumbled upon a creepy UG and thought it was something much more sinister. Until I found out it was just an UG. The dark web isn't really that scary. It has been romanticized and exaggerated by creepypastas, TV shows and etc. Watch the deep dark web documentary called Hackers. Super high production value and it really shows the gritty underbelly of the hacker world. It's probably the most accurate documentary out there. I know this because I was zero cool. Drugs seized. Paranoid months. Nothing happened. They sent me a letter when they seized mine and said to come pick them up or they would be destroyed. I kinda just let them go, didn't seem worth it. Had a buddy who used to order weed. The distributor got busted and the postal service let him know there was a suspicious package for him. He could either pick it up or it would be destroyed. Have you actually been on the dark web? It's actually quite hard to find bad things. Are you confusing the dark web with the deep web maybe? Not really a dark web user, but I got doxxed by a Neo-Nazi group on the dark web and ended up having to use the dark web to find the websites that had my information. Department of Homeland Security and the FBI showed up on my doorstep because they were threatening to send me letter bombs and send people to abduct and arm me. It was scary shit. They all fell off the face of the earth recently, so I'm just hoping the feds got to them. Edit. I elaborated more in the comments. Feel free to ask questions. but I might not give too much more information out. I don't want to be identified by anyone who's come across my docs or is associated with a group who did this in the first place. I actually learned how to access the dark web by listening to NPR. They had a segment where an author who was writing a book about it basically gave step-by-step instructions on how to do it. I did everything he said and, by golly, it worked. Truthfully, it was pretty underwhelming. Mostly just drugs and counterfeit items, passports, money, etc. I did find some weapons with the serial numbers scratched off, pistols and shotguns, but nothing that would start World War III. I also saw a couple ads for hitmen, but they seemed pretty hokey and were most likely undercover cops. I never felt in danger, but I have never gone back because there's nothing I really want from there. No government agents have kicked down my door, either. It's pretty boring. I used it to buy drugs a few times, which was nice. Wow, what kind of places sell LSD so I know what to stay away from? The only real difference between the internet you and I are using right now and the dark web is that you need special software or configurations to access it. You have plenty of opportunities of finding badge tea on the regular web. With that in mind, I'd say that the regular web is more dangerous since it lulls you into a sense of security. I mean, most people these days have a significant amount of their personal information on there. The dark web you're likely going to have a sense to be more anonymous. Personally, I just used it for playing a WoW private server back in the day since the hosts didn't want to get a C&D from Blizzard. Be safe, boys and girls. Don't give out your information or communicate with others. And if you plan on purchasing anything, use a secure Linux OS like Tails. Use private keys. Connect to a public Wi-Fi spot, not your house. Encrypt all messages. Use multi-signature markets so your chances of not losing your Bitcoin lessens. Escrow preferably. Never send your Bitcoins from a wallet attached to you directly to the seller. Tumble your coins first. And when the package arrives, don't open it for a few days. A friend of mine gave me all this info and told me I should help you guys out. The deep web isn't scary. Just don't give out any information and you're good. The best story I have of visiting the deep web is that I joined the Lord of the Rings fan site. It was called the Shire of the Hobbit Hole or something. Yes, you can find bad stuff on there, but it's mostly just drugs. The only reason you shouldn't buy anything on the deep web is because it's most likely a scam. They will just take your money and run. You can find more disgusting stuff on the clear web than you can on the deep web. There's just so much stuff that it's impossible to find it all. I haven't felt in danger on the evil internet. Sure, you can find all sorts of stuff on there that you'd like to tell the police about, and sure, other people are in danger, but as long as you stick to the path and don't make yourself an easy mark, you'll be fine. The worst I found was a Red Room streaming site. When I got there they had a countdown for I think it was an hour or so. So naturally, being a 15-year-old boy, I waited around. When it reached 5 or so minutes it opened the chat, which had like 20 or less people in it, and announced the name of some girl. You could tell that only 5 or so people were here for blood and the rest were just kids being kids. Then when the countdown was over it prompted me to pay in Bitcoin to see it. So naturally I went on my merry way. Accidentally stumbled upon some CP once. Noped out pretty fast but was still worried for weeks the FBI would come after me. The worst thing is, you can stumble across HT on regular porn sites. 2. I stumbled across some pics once on one of the more well-known sites, and there was no fking visible option to report it. I don't think I've ever been so disgusted in my entire life. Religious Silk Road and CGMC user here. I used to get the stuff delivered to my dorm, but the package didn't come directly to my room. I had to go pick it up from my dorm building office. For my 3rd or 4th order from Silk Road I got an email saying that a package had arrived for me, but when I went to pick it up I was told by a RA that my package was in the door's office. I was freaked out. I also for some reason was getting a lot of spam calls, which added to my anxiety. I was scared shitless. I didn't go to pick it up for like 4 days and kept getting emails from the door to come pick it up. I didn't go because I thought that it was a setup. But after a couple days I said FCK it because I had paid a lot of BTC for that order, so I went to pick it up. It was literally nothing. The people holding onto my order couldn't have been more nicer. They couldn't give me a reason why that package was delivered there and not to my dorm. So I just ordered more lol. Commissioned by a drug lord to code a BTC shop for them on the darknet. 5k a week, so I said FCK it. Ended up with access to their main BTC wallet with about 1.4 meters worth of coins at the time. Had to seriously consider the consequences of F-king with that money. But ended up noping the FCK out because I didn't want to end up on LiveLeak getting my head cut off by some cartel. Edit. The FBI contacted me about this same post I made 2 years ago. So I had ordered many times on the dark web, but one day I decided to place a rather large order of XTC pills from Europe to the USA. I had a terrible feeling in my gut after the order was placed and actually had some serious food poisoning or something that night lol. Cut to weeks later. I ended up getting arrested for the pills and entering the worst time of my entire life. Damn, that sucks, bro. I did time for narcotic sales a few years back. You'll get through it. Hang in there, my dude. My FBI guy on high alert after I clicked into this post. I'm upvoting this comment as a fourth wall break. Fuck you to my FBI guy. Love you. Someone who isn't me was on a drug marketplace once, where heroin, crack cocaine, sometimes PCP are listed, but if you're experienced, you don't even bat an eye. What that person did see once were pills pressed from the residue powders that ostensibly covered the press. These included mixtures of meth, fentanyl, Xanax, Molly, amphetamines, GHB, DOT. Ht is scary because you have no idea what exact ratios the mixture will be composed of. And with heavy hitting, high OD potential drugs like fentanyl, everyone wouldn't be surprised if that particular listing led to multiple overdoses. No. I don't go on the red rooms, child porn, and buying drugs and bombs side of the dark web. I just go on the dark web to collect free bonuses from a bunch of gambling sites without being tracked. Not really, it's just sometimes some creepy shit on the dark web forums. I have seen more disgusting things on 4chan. To be honest, other than that you have to be specifically searching for that shit, and even then it's hard AF. There is no one search engine but many and with different results. The dark web is general dull. Most of the site is just for dealing drugs. Other than it's dull, not to say that there is some interesting site on there. Not the dark web but Omegle. Me and my brother were camping and decided to go on Omegle. Afterwards we started watching Netflix to go to sleep. I realized my webcam light was still on and me and my brother couldn't find out why the Omegle tab was closed, so we tried manually turning it off. It didn't work, so we decided to open Omegle back up. As soon as we opened it up we realized some creepy dude had been watching us the whole time. It scared the FCK out of us. He immediately left the chat, needless to say we didn't sleep in our tent that night. TLDR, creepy dude was watching us through my webcam. Not dark web, but mid-90s web. I was 12. And obviously puberty was in control. This was chat room days. Kid I was acquainted with. An Eagle Scout nonetheless. Had all these floppy, and I mean floppy disks full of pornographic images from some asshole supposedly in Texas. Me and a few other friends were over puberty, so we're eager to see naked women. It soon took a quick turn with girls that were likely my age. I immediately noped the FCK out and never really talked to the kid again. But knowing the Boy Scouts I wasn't getting involved. But I was like 13 and didn't even wanna tell my mom I was interested in women. I regret that day a lot. I should have called the police. Sadly I just compartmentalized it. 1996 was weird. No. Unless you're visiting or buying really weird shit, you're fine. The people that have felt this way would be self-incriminating to answer the question. I was trying to buy those super cool laser pointers and I got a random message saying I know where you live. I noped out of that site straight away. Not drugs. Not a fake passport. A cool looking laser pointer. Respect. I now see clicking on this thread was a mistake. Yup. I'm traumatized. IDK if it was the dark web but accidentally came across a website that was basically just Pornhub but for gore. I saw a couple seconds of a man with his hands already chopped off getting his face peeled off by some sort of cartel and nope the FCK out. I had to take a break from the internet for a couple of days. Dude, I've seen that video. Kept me up for a while. Those screams got me bad. Yeah. No. Illicit drugs for sale. And forums to talk about it. Don't believe everything you read. So I shouldn't believe all the Netflix horror movies that tell me that going on the dark web will kill me supernaturally. I might get killed by saying this. But I hope he doesn't find my comment. If you go to page 2 of Google you're bound to fix that computer issue that's been bugging you. This comment right here. Officer. My friends use it to buy drugs. Other than that. Nothing. The dark web is just boring to be honest. You can't find that much on there since there are so many trolls. As for a point that scared me, not really in danger, I found a forum that had people talking about how much they wanted to beat up women but that's about it. That happens on the normal web. When Silk Road was replaced with this site has been seized by the CIA. I shat bricks. I always wonder how rich I would be now if I had the bitcoins. I watched a Kanye porn video on there once. He was porking Kim. He turned and looked at the screen and yelled, "What you looking at?" Double quote. Scared me soft. I knew a guy that was obsessed with trauma porn. Didn't make you feel unsafe. It's just pretty disturbing to see. What is trauma porn? This is the exact kind of thread you read with the lights turned off at night because it is scarier than a horror movie. I don't know too much of the details but one of my friend's brothers got on the dark web without using a VPN. He was a teenager at the time and said he immediately regretted it because someone figured out his real name and actual address on this really crazy site he went on. Claimed that he could not sleep for days after that. LMAO. Even if someone grabs the IP address, they won't be able to convert that into an address or a name. They can figure out the general area of where you live and that person had to be an administrator on the website or have a direct chat with that person to try and trace the IP. Came across a Chan style site. Every post was about trains. Wouldn't say I felt in danger. But I felt so out of the loop that I was missing something that I just got off. You weren't trained on how to use the site properly. Dark web ain't scary B. I once bought a big crate of cup noodles for a cheap price. Everything around the deep web you can buy. And you buy a crate of cup noodles. Nice. Normal people browsing shouldn't be scared. The only odd thing I saw was animal porn on accident, but on the regular web I've seen way worse like the ISIS killings and stuff. You have to go out of your way to find the badge tick. Reading all these comments, articles, and stories is so upsetting to me. Especially as I'm lying in bed cuddling with my sleeping 4-month-old. Why would anyone ever hurt babies and children? I wish I hadn't browsed these comments. Going to be holding my son extra tight tonight. Never in danger. Sometimes a bit disturbed. But I've never felt oh no's my camera's gonna turn on. Or someone's gonna email me my full name and address or something. If anything, I'm more scared of the feds hunting me down cause I clicked on some animal porn to see if it was real or just wanted to know the prices of drugs for a writing project. When I realized how easy it is to get any single drug I could ever want. I've always wanted to try this. And curiosity almost made me, but the fact that I really have no idea what's legit and what isn't, as well as just super basic knowledge about staying secure, deterred me from doing so. My friends and I were once ordering some green off the dark web on the way. We saw a dude selling cyanide. Don't ask me how I got it. Don't tell me what you'll use it for. Violation of either condition will void the sale. Double quote. Someone once told me that he kept his computer system unplugged for a few days because of some similar reason. I never asked for details, but I wish I had. If you're into podcasts, there is an episode of Time Suck about the dark web that goes over a lot of info. When my supplier was acting sketchy and thought the cops were onto him, and then bam. A few days later I am being raided by several different agencies. Everything feels government owned. I used to frequent drug sites. They would go down for weeks at a time. Then pop up again. Have weird prices. Sellers were different. It made the dark web feel like a labyrinth more than a ruleless wasteland. I once bought a bit of weed and I received a blackmail letter threatening me with awful things if I didn't send 1 BTC, $1,000 at the time. I was scared shitless, but nothing ever happened. Always check the reviews before buying anything. I don't even know how to get the dark web or deep web. Am I the majority? It's not a com site, right? The deep web requires the Tor browser if I remember correctly. I'm personally too scared to even try and access it because I remember playing Welcome to the Game Parts 1 and 2. I'm ashamed to admit it. But I screamed like a little BTCH the first time the Russians got me. I take serious precautions on my time at the dark web. But I've seen videos where they pay women and then slaughter their head. I've never understood why people get pleasure causing others pain. I still feel uneasy thinking about that. I started learning a lot about JavaScript when I was 13. Decided to venture to the dark web. After investigating this one site for a few days, I found a hidden part of it. Long story short, I found a child sex ring and mods knew I was not supposed to be there. I started getting threats about my family. We eventually threw out the desktop and changed our ISP carrier to change the IP. Never again. I was fking around, just clicking on random links and shit. So I clicked on a site that had CP. Big mistake. And all of a sudden my computer got extremely slow and my computer began to glitch out. Luckily I had a VPN enabled on top of the dark web security layer. I just got the feeling I was being hacked by somebody. I just don't know who. I never shut my computer down so damn fast. There's this pretty well-known story where a first-time dark web user logged off. Went to eat at Five Guys. And then after he came back he saw that someone sent him a picture of him eating at that exact same Five Guys. This type of shit makes sure I won't ever go on there without proper prep. I was 16 at the time. But I was in some serious shit. I won't name or link the website for obvious reasons, lol. One day I was browsing the site and showing my friend some of the stuff I was finding. Fully automatic weapons and explosives. And I was about halfway down the second page when the browser I used to look at stuff was closed. Everything on my phone was completely disabled. To the point that I couldn't even send or receive messages. Eventually it went back to normal and I uninstalled every VPN and browser I used for the dark web. About a week later I spotted some dude in a red car with binoculars watching me while I was at the park with some friends. And there was an identical red car parked a block down from my house. No one ever talked to me or did anything. I found a chat room advertised as true free speech platform. All political opinions welcome to discussion. I thought I could go there to debate with Nazis who were willing to say whatever they want without repercussion. It was really just a place to post child porn. Nothing but child porn. Every user was sending links to 3 or 4 pictures at a time. Or commenting on pictures the rest of them sent. There were dozens of users. I disconnected my laptop from the internet and deleted my Tor browser. I've used the dark web once or twice. Scariest thing was when my screen went black for a few moments and turned back on. Wasn't anything big. Just my display cable fking up. But it did give me the creeps. As for dark or disturbing shit, I've only found a list of random addresses. The dark web really has a lot of stigma associated with it. For the most part it's just people curious about the dark web or people trying to scam you or sell you drugs. You have to do a lot of looking to find the really fked up stuff. You're more likely to find dark web type crap on Reddit or YouTube than the actual dark web. I've never really explored it. But I remember in middle school my best friend downloaded a torrent. We would go on Silk Road and just look at all the ridiculous shit. Cartons of grenades, rocket launchers, pounds of cocaine, AK-47s, etc. Blew my 12-year-old mind. But didn't really realize how serious it really was. Not really. My main regret about the dark web relates to the amount of cheap Bitcoin I spent on there. Years ago I used to buy Bitcoins at UAQ 5 to UAQ 7 each, which I promptly spent. At their peak those Bitcoins would have been worth UAQ 15,000 each. One time I got twice the amount of drugs that I actually ordered. Was paranoid for about 2 hours and then I just got really high and it was fine. The website The Silk Road took a huge part of my life. It wasn't dangerous in itself. I was dangerous. I was a major member of the community. I was responsible for cooking the products. My friends ran the other sectors. And I can never forgive myself for that. A lot of people fueled their addictions through me. And all of that for money. The people running that website weren't what most people think they were. We were all college kids caught in the cycle of easy money. I made sure to cut ties with them after I left. And I don't want to imagine where they are now. The dark web is a dark place if you're not just looking. And sometimes the biggest danger to yourself is your curiosity. I wanted to know what being wealthy feels like. I do now. But at too high of a cost.